Polaris penalized an employee for pregnancy-related absences and medical appointments. The company required her to work mandatory overtime, despite direction from her physician that she not work over 40 hours per week during her pregnancy. Let's get to Boss Watch. Starting in Alabama, the U.S. Department of Labor obtained a consent judgment in federal court against an Alabama poultry processor, requiring them to pay $385,000 in civil money penalties for federal child labor law violations and barring the employer from any future child labor law violations. The agreement comes after the department's Wage and Hour Division found Marjack Poultry, Alabama, violated several of the child labor provisions of the Fair Labor Standards Act, including illegally employing minors, some as young as 13 years old. The employer permitted other minors to perform activities deemed hazardous and forbidden under federal law, such as operating a forklift, deboning and eviscerating poultry, and working on the kill floor. Investigators also discovered that Marjack employed workers between 14 and 15 years old in occupations prohibited by child labor regulations. In addition, Marjack employed workers between 14 and 15 to work outside of legally allowed hours, many on overnight shifts between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. These findings resulted in the employer agreeing to pay $385,000 in civil money penalties. Marjack Poultry has repeatedly been found to put young workers at risk, resulting in the tragic death of a child at their Mississippi facility in 2023, said Wage and Hour Division Regional Administrator Juan Correa in Atlanta. The U.S. Department of Labor will use all enforcement tools available to protect young workers and hold employers accountable if they repeatedly violate workers' rights. The department previously investigated Marjack after a 16-year-old worker was fatally caught in a machine while cleaning it. An investigation by the department's Wage and Hour Division in 2023 found that Marjack employed 3 14 and 15-year-olds in prohibited occupations and had them work longer than legally allowed. 4 minor-aged workers were also allowed to operate power-driven meat processing facilities and were involved in slaughtering as well as meat and poultry packaging. As a result of these findings, Marjack was assessed $150,000 in civil money penalties. $150,000 for killing a high school freshman or sophomore. I'm not sure how old, what grade you're in when you're 16, but yeah.
10th or 11th grade.
Doesn't seem like enough.
Wow.
Also in Alabama, Delaware-based vehicle manufacturer Polaris Industries will pay $55,000 and provide other injunctive relief to settle charges of pregnancy discrimination in a lawsuit filed by the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in connection with practices at Polaris's Huntsville, Alabama facility, the federal agency announced today. Also worth noting for our Huntsville audience, the city of Huntsville has given Polaris lots of money. According to the EEOC's lawsuit, Polaris penalized an employee for pregnancy-related absences and medical appointments. The company required her to work mandatory overtime, despite direction from her physician that she not work over 40 hours per week during her pregnancy. Polaris told the employee that it would terminate her if she accumulated additional attendance points for any reason. Faced with choosing between her job and the health of her unborn child, the employee felt no choice but to resign. Such alleged conduct violated the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, PWFA, which requires employers to provide reasonable accommodations to qualified employees who have communicated limitations arising out of pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions. The EEOC filed suit in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Alabama after its Birmingham District Office completed an investigation and first attempted to reach a pre-litigation settlement through its voluntary conciliation process. The consent decree settling the case requires Polaris to pay the employee $55,000 in lost earnings and compensatory damages. Additionally, the 2-year decree requires Polaris to take steps to prevent future discrimination by improving their policies and practices and by training their employees on the PWFA. Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate. Union Busters is sponsored by Labor Lab. This segment covers national updates, and Labor Lab is an employer watchdog organization. They're committed to safeguarding the right to organize through unions, collective bargaining, and mutual aid. They do this by combing through reports that Union Busters are required to file with the Department of Labor. Here are some of the new filings from this week. You'll see the full list in our Boss Watch newsletter. You can subscribe at tvlr.fm. Parsec slash Universal Logistics hired O'Mara and Associates at $2,500 a day, and East Coast Labor Relations at $4,000 per day. Domino's Pizza hired Santana International for $212 an hour. Open Kitchens hired LRI Consulting Services at $425 an hour. And Mars hired LRI Consulting Services for $425 an hour as well. Amazon also hired a spate of union busters. Alley's Transportation, Keith Williams, Ivy Link Consulting Group, Calder Group, Viking Labor Solutions at rates between $200 and $300 an hour. In addition, the following filings were amended, or several filings were amended to add compensation and correct errors and stuff like that. You can see all of that on the newsletter, tvlr.fm. Just a really quick reminder, and this is, particularly relevant as, we just talked about how Navistar in Huntsville is violating federal law by not disclosing that they have right now on site union busting consultants, and so there's a huge problem with a lack of enforcement around this, and because of that, some labor relations consultants and employers, like the ones right now in Huntsville at Navistar, may disregard the law and fail to report their activities to the U.S. Department of Labor. Therefore, it's crucial for organizers and workers to report suspected persuader activity to the U.S. Department of Labor's Office of Labor Management Standards, OLMS. You can do that via email at olms-public@dol.gov, by calling them at 202-693-0123, or by contacting your nearest OLMS district office. And if you need any assistance with that, you can contact Labor Lab at contact@laborlab.us. That email address again is contact@laborlab.us. We appreciate them for sponsoring the program and bringing you these important updates. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.